All right, we are live.
We are here live. Over to my left, we have Daniel Jacob Horine, artist and creator of Popfly Pop Shop. Say hello.
Hey, folks.
And over to my right is the guy who crushed this Angels fan's heart numerous times for over a decade, Mr. Jamie Moyer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me on today.
Well, maybe you're a Jamie Moyer fan and you're just seeing what this is and you're not sure what Popfly Pop Shop is. About every week, Daniel creates a comic book style art commemorating an incredible MLB player. This week, it is Jamie Moyer. It is retired this Sunday forever. So you have to go to Popfly Pop Shop and get this before Sunday. There is an autograph option and there is an autograph inscription option. And also, there will be a giveaway today. So if you have a fan question you want to ask Jamie Moyer yourself, send that in. And if Daniel gets to it, you'll also receive a prize. Right off the bat, Jamie Moyer, I'm sure you've seen yourself on hundreds, if not thousands, of baseball cards. What's it like seeing yourself on a comic book style?
It's different. And it's like anything you do for the first time. You have no idea what it's going to look like, right? And especially when you get to the bobblehead thing, right? The bobbleheads a lot of times don't look like you at all. But I guess it's the thing to do is to get a bobblehead. But, when you're, the comic thing, that can be made out to be whatever you want it to be too. In this case, I think Daniel did a wonderful job. I'm very pleased with it. And, if you look at the picture and know the history, I think it explains itself, which is, I think, exactly what you were trying to do, Daniel.
Yep.
What is the overall narrative, Daniel, you were trying to highlight of Jamie's career?
Well, what I loved and found really inspirational about not only the career, just the attitude in general, is just this refusal to accept the limitations that people attempt to put on you. And later in your career, Jamie, like that's seemingly what happened, and like a superhero, you defied those expectations, and I love the title of your memoir. I love your title of your memoir so much that I use it as the speech bubbles here. Just tell me I can't.
Exactly.
That challenge of the challenge, I love, and even the tagline, how Jamie Moyer defied the radar gun and defeated time. It's so ready for comic book language. So I wanted to. So obviously there's some humor here with the hourglass, but it's a very real message and intention behind this. And I was absolutely inspired by your story, your career, and I couldn't wait to get on this piece and tell the story.
Well, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Now, Jamie, it seems like most starting pitchers have a natural career arc where they start off throwing gas, and then as the velocity starts to dip, they have to reinvent themselves, and maybe some would say stop being a thrower and become a pitcher. It seems like you learned that skill very early on. I think your volume left us, Jamie. If you could re-hit is there a mute button back on?
Oh, he can't hear us.
Oh, he's about to give the secrets of pitching, and someone pulled the cord to make sure. Well, as Jamie Moyer figures this out, let me re-highlight some of the amazing stuff of his career. Over 4,000 innings pitched. First, 4,000 innings. Most people don't necessarily think of him as a strikeout pitcher, but he racked up the strikeouts, over 2,441 strikeouts, 269 wins. Now, obviously, some of that you would put in the compiling stat category, where if you do something above average for a long amount of time, you just kind of rack them up over a while. But the thing most impressive for me, and let's see if we got Jimmy back. Do you have audio going?
Oh, no audio yet.
We'll figure this out, family. Is the minimum of walks that Jamie pitched. One of his years on the Mariners that really stands out to me. I'm just going to keep talking as they work on the tech stuff. 1.6 walks per 9 innings. That is absolutely astounding to me. And so when we get him back, I want to hear his thoughts on velocity versus actually pitching. But to me, what Jamie Moyer embodies is somebody who hits the corners, who throws strikes, throws crafty, if you will, and induces soft contact. Are we don't have him back yet?
Working on it.
Okay. So as we try to fix this and get him back, technology is what she is. Popflypopshop.com. You can go on there. Jamie Moyer's print is only available until Sunday, and then it is retired forever. There is an autograph option, an autograph inscription option. And we have you back, friend?
Yep. Sorry about that.
No.
I got a phone call and I lost your voice. I couldn't hear you, but I could see you. And I didn't know how to respond to your question. You want to come back, and I didn't know how to get anything up to respond to you. So I just shut you off and turned you back on.
No worries. I just talked for 2 minutes about the brilliance of your career.
Okay.
So back to my question, though, Jamie Moyer, is a lot of pitchers, they start off throwing gas. They can kind of get away with missing down the middle. And then as their velocity dips, they have to reinvent themselves and become pitchers, not just throwers. That's a skill set that you mastered very early on. Can you share where that came from?
Well, it's probably what I had to do my whole life. However, early on, I was very inconsistent with it. And what I have learned, I learned some hard lessons through baseball, that you probably learn more through failure than you do through success.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a fair amount of failure. I mean, I had, some success, but I didn't have consistent success early in my career, which, forced me to get traded, sent back to the minor leagues, those trials and tribulations. And, it'd have been really easy to give up and walk away. But, baseball was a passion of mine. And I don't know. I felt like I always had something to give, but I didn't know what it was. Right. And I still had a uniform on. I was still getting opportunities. And look, in life, as long as you have opportunity, you have you have the chance to do what you want to do or chase what you want to chase. And that was my belief. And, during my career, I ran into a lot of retired players, old timers, things like that, who had great careers, before me. And they'd say, make them tear it up, make them tear that uniform off your body. And I, as the more I played, the more I believed that. And, it was, the physical preparation, we all did that, but there's a mental side to things as well. And I think that's where early in my career, I struggled with the failures, and didn't know how to deal with them. And again, being a lower velocity or on the bottom end of velocity, I had to do it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, getting knocked down and knocked down and knocked down, you have to, learn how to get back up. And not be angry and not be upset and not let the noise get in the way. And I, over time, I really learned that the noise is just noise, and everybody has an opinion. Right? Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but it doesn't have to hold true. And, the only opinion that really mattered to me was my opinion and where I was at that point in time. Now, again, I had to work on the mental side of the game and kind of rearrange some things for myself and change my thinking and my thought process. And in doing so, I felt like I got pretty good at it. And when I was able to do that, I really noticed some positive changes in my outcomes. So again, I kind of took that and ran with it. And again, you still have to have opportunity. And, early in my career, I loved every experience I had. I really enjoyed the teammates that I had. But early in my career, I was, when I was with the Cubs, I loved playing in Chicago, but we weren't very good as a team. And, from there, I went to Texas. We weren't really good. On paper, we were great, but, on the field, we weren't. Right. So I never really got the taste of a winning environment. Right. And then, I kind of kicked around. I went to the Cardinals, and then I went to the Orioles, and all of those situations were kind of the same. Then ended up as a free agent going to Boston. Again, when I was in Boston in, what was that, 96, boy, on paper, we had a really, really good team, but the first half of the season, we struggled mightily. Second half, we, started to, we started to right the ship. And then at the trading deadline, I got traded to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was like a shot in the arm and a great opportunity to start again as a starting pitcher. And boy, I walked in the door and Lou Piniella said, "Are you ready to pitch?" And I said, "Of course I am." And they handed me the ball, and I got the ball every fifth day. And things now, I was in an organization that was, starting to move forward, and we were winning. And boy, that was, a totally different perspective for me to kind of live and take. And boy, we had some really wonderful years in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And wow, it was really exciting. But unfortunately, when we got to the playoffs, when I was with the Mariners, we seemed to always fall short of the World Series. Mm. And to me, ultimately, as a player, that's your goal, is to play in a World Series. And if you had the opportunity to play in a World Series, is to win a World Series. Mm-hmm. And when I went to Philadelphia, again, it was another shot in the arm in a positive way. And boy, we were very youthful. So that really, lifted my spirits and gave me a lot of energy, right? Being the older guy, right? Or the old guy. And 2008, we make it to a World Series and we win. And, I'm so glad that, in 1991, I was offered a coaching job with the Cubs. And I turned it down.
Wow.
And, I fought the battle.
Yeah.
And was able in 2008 to, obviously during that period, I extended my career, but was able to be on a World Series champion and experience that. And, to today, it's just a magical experience. And you're sharing it with your teammates and the organization, but you're also sharing it with the fan base. Mm-hmm. And that to me is a whole nother story. We have a parade down Broad Street. I was really not overly excited about that parade, but I'll tell you what, once we got in the mix of the parade and going down Broad Street, it was just such a wonderful, wonderful day to share winning and to see literally people in tears crying with joy, because their team won a world championship. I mean, and in Philadelphia, that doesn't happen a whole lot, right? So, to be able to share that, and again, I'm from that Philadelphia area. I went to college at St. Joe's University in Philadelphia initially, and to be able to share it kind of with my hometown team was just, it was magical. And then, in 2009, we went back to a World Series and we got beat by the Yankees, but still to be able to do that back-to-back years, was, to me, that's what you play for.
Mm. We are here with the ageless wonder himself, Jamie Moyer. That was awesome. He just kind of walked us through his career arc. Man, those late 90s, early 2000s Mariners teams. I grew up here in Anaheim, went to Angel games all the time. I remember going to the field like, oh, who's pitching today? Is it, is it Gil Mesh, Randy Johnson, Aaron Seeley? Ah, damn it, it's Jamie Moyer, because you would like blink and it's the sixth inning. We're down 2-0. 12 ground balls to the second baseman, people pop ups, and it's like we would be yelling at our team like, hit this guy. But it was a decade of that. It was just so frustrating. Did you look like you got joy out of just tormenting?
Of course. I was doing my job. I appreciate your kind words, about your perception of my pitching. It wasn't quite that easy. The Angels were a big foe of ours, and I enjoyed competing against those Angel ball clubs. Very talented teams. It was really interesting playing. Again, back then you played each other 18 or 19 times a season. So it's like playing in the backyard. You're playing against these guys constantly. You almost feel like it's daily, right? You get to know them, they get to know you. And that makes it a little more difficult, because when you're seeing guys on a more regular basis, you start to get to know and understand who they are and what makes them click. So that, again, that becomes a challenge. And, I think at times we had our way with the Angels, but I think at times the Angels had their way with us as the Mariners. So, did it ever even out? I don't know if it evened out, but
no, it didn't.
I mean, the Angels went through a pretty healthy spell too, where they were very successful and got to a World Series. And, unfortunately we didn't with the Mariners, but those, when you're playing in your own division, back in those days where you're, seeing a team, you might get 25, 30 at bats, or I may face a guy 25, 30 times in a season. So you got to start to change things up a little bit, because if you don't, they start picking up on your nuances as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that Mariner team, I think that's the greatest team ever to not win a trophy. Yeah. When you got you and Randy Johnson, A-Rod, Griffey, Buhner, Edgar Martinez, holy smokes.
Yeah, we were very talented, very talented.
Speaking of the Mariners, so Daniel, if you could show your cover again, is it the World Series ring? Is that why Moyer you depicted as a Philly rather than a Mariner?
Well, Daniel picked that out.
Okay. Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah. Well, to me, I feel like, especially with the nickname here, Ageless Wonder, like the fullness of the story had not been told yet on the Mariners. There's like a Julio Franco, another player who's known for his longevity in the game. He wasn't always known as someone with longevity to the game, So I think it was the Phillies that really started becoming like a thing that people would note and write about. And to me, that's where the inspiration comes. It's like at that point when maybe you're counted out, or you're at the end of this or that from whatever statistic, it's then that you show up, you rise up. It's got such a storybook moment in the narrative right there with the Phillies. So to me, it felt like a really great place to start to tell this story.
I have a theory, by the way. I've made up my own narrative with this art. Is Jamie Moyer's trapped in this this sand time device, and as are a bunch of other pitchers, and they're throwing 100 miles an hour, and that won't break the glass. The only thing that will break the glass is you have to hit it in the exact spot.
I like this.
Moyer's the only pitcher who's able to hit that exact spot. Whatever that's worth.
I like that.
It's only available until Sunday. There is an autograph option and an inscription option. I have one more question for you, Jamie Moyer. One of my favorite baseball memories I've ever been at is it was a game at Anaheim where Shigetoshi Hasegawa pitched against Ichiro Suzuki. And it was the first time a Japanese-born pitcher pitched against a Japanese-born hitter. Do you have any memories of that moment? Do you remember it?
I honestly don't remember. I mean, there's a lot. I saw a lot of pitchers face a lot of hitters, and I faced a lot of hitters. I do remember it being an exciting time. Again, there weren't many Japanese players coming into Major League Baseball, and during those times. So when it happened, it was not only a big thing here in the U.S. and with Major League Baseball, and I don't know that I realized or appreciated how big it was in their home country.
Yeah.
Right? Because baseball is a huge sport in Japan. And I don't know if we here in the States will ever get the feel of what that's like in Japan. But having said that, it was really cool. Not only did they face each other, but they also became teammates.
Yeah, it's true.
Which was kind of cool as well, right?
Yeah.
And then we also brought on Kazuhiro Sasaki and Kenji Jojima.
Yeah.
Played with the Mariners. So we at one point, I believe, had 4 Japanese players on our team, which was pretty cool.
It was, yeah. Yep. The Japanese Nintendo company just made this incredible on-ramp from Japan to here.
Yep.
Daniel, is there a fan question you'd like to hit up?
There is. There's several here. Let's see. This one's interesting, and I like it first of all, I got to say, as a young kid growing up, there's TBS and there's WGN.
Yep.
And and we talked a little bit about this with Dale Murphy. Just I have a question. I guess before I get to the fan question, you were on TV more than probably any other baseball team. You know, the Braves
Right.
and the
Right.
Cubs.
Yep.
How did that affect how you showed up at the game? Like, not only do you have the stadium of people, but you have the nation watching you.
You know, I don't know as a player that I think once you get over that, oh, I'm on TV, I think you kind of get over that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, it really helped the Cubs fan base being on WGN, because you don't know how many times I've heard, oh, when I was a kid, I used to watch you. I'd run home from school to watch the Cubs or the Braves. And that's how I learned who you were, who Ryan Sandberg was, or Andre Dawson, or Sean Dunston, or Rick Sutcliffe, you know, whoever it was. And I think that's how, you know, fans relate, right, with the television. Now it's a lot different because you can stream and you have the MLB package and you can basically watch whoever you want. But back in those times that you're referring to, Daniel, you know, it was two.
Yep.
All right. And at one point, I don't know if it was only one. At one point, was it WGN first and then TBS, or was it TBS and then WGN? Either way, it opened the door for both of those organizations. Yeah. And now look what it turned into.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Dale Murphy will often talk about he'll be in Anywhere USA, and someone will come up and say, I used to watch you as a kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I could have retired 20 years ago.
Awesome. Well, here's a great question, and it doesn't say the name here. So Facebook user, if you want to reach out, let me know your name so I can get you a promo code. He's asked, as two young Cubs, how much did you influence Greg Maddux and he influenced you?
Well, Greg was, that's a great question. Greg signed out of high school and I signed out of college. So I had a few more years of, we'll say, experience, maybe, or life experience. But, you know, Greg was far more talented than I was. It was a matter of, you know, kind of honing those skills. And I think we all kind of saw what happened with Greg once he honed those skills. And I think he was starting to hone those skills when he was with the Cubs, and became a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, and, you know, moved on to the Braves. And I think the rest is history. You know, I mean, he was ended up being, you know, obviously a Hall of Fame pitcher, but a phenomenal pitcher, phenomenal teammate, and just a student of the game. You know, his knowledge and experience with the game, I think it speaks for itself. Even today, like, I really enjoy, sometimes I'll get on social media and I'll see somewhere where he's being interviewed, and I kind of sit and take it all in, like we were never teammates. And like, you know, it's like I'm still learning from listening to him talk. So yeah, he's became such a student of the game. And like you said, his talent was, you know, nobody, I don't think, realized where his talent was going to take him. And boy, he took off with it and ran with it. And, you know, he was a simple pitcher. He was a durable pitcher. I don't know that Greg ever was on the disabled list.
Wow.
He was one heck of an athlete. You know, he's a great golfer. He loved to play basketball. He loved to power hitters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, there was probably nothing he couldn't do. But yeah, I think maybe we fed off of each other. Now in the minor leagues, he was usually, I don't know, I don't think we were teammates till maybe AA in the minor leagues. And then again, we became teammates in the big leagues for a short bit. But what a joy and pleasure to be able to have played with Greg.
Awesome. You know, there's a couple questions here that I'm sure you get a lot. You know, who was the hardest hitter you faced? There's some stats hidden in here that I love to bring up. Here's one question from John. My focus is on the stat. You've faced over 17,000 hitters, 38th of all time. And John here, he says, there's a stat at the time of your retirement. You faced 8.9% of all the batters in ML histories. What are his, yeah, so yeah, we'll ask John's question. What are your thoughts on that? 8.9%. I can't even wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I guess I can honestly start off by just saying I was very fortunate. I really wasn't having any health issues till in the latter part of my career. Which, look, if you're healthy and you're making starts, you're going to have, and you play long enough, some of these old records are going to start, rearing their heads. Right. And, like you said, I was very fortunate. I took pride in my health. I took pride in trying to be best prepared as I could be. Sometimes it probably didn't look that way. But it is what it is. It's a human game. And, we played and we competed, and, it was a much simpler game, I think, in the beginning eras of my career. Today there's more analytical around the game. There's more stats around the game. And I think that's what the game calls for. And that's what the game wants. For me to condone it would be totally wrong. It's just a comparison of yesteryear to today. So, but yeah, good fortune. I'm proud of those, those old stats that people pull up, like facing 8.9% or 17,000+ hitters or pitching over 4,000 innings. Those are things that I take great pride in.
You should.
Because that's what my goal was to go out and be somebody the club could rely on every fifth day. And I think that's, I was raised that way. I was raised to work and have a good work ethic. And, and I can only compliment my parents for raising me in those ways.
Awesome. Well, maybe what we'll end on is, there's a shift in MLB right now where they are going away from the four-seam fastball and doing more other pitches. And I think it's great, because I think what teams are realizing is you can't just close your eyes and throw 100 and see what happens. And it's like, this is what Jamie Moyer was doing, quite a while ago, is get soft contact, don't walk people, get hitters off balance, make them hit your pitch. And this is stuff that, we had the chicks love the long ball and the chicks love the radar gun. And now it's going back to a Jamie Moyer style of pitching, which is actually pitchers. And I just, to me, there's nothing more sexy than a half a baseball off the plate. That is,
I hear you. And look, if you think about the game of baseball, it's a game of failure.
Yeah.
Right. You fail. Right. And it's up to the team to deal with individual failures or team failures. Right. How do you come back from that adversity on a daily basis? And I think that's the uniqueness about baseball. Right. We're not machines, and I get it. Like I said, there's a lot of analytics around all of this stuff. And there's tendencies and things like that. But, is the hitter swinging the bat well? Is the pitcher throwing the ball well? How well are they seeing the ball? What's the score of the game? There's a lot of things that dictate what a pitcher throws, in my mind. Right. And, if there's a team that's really hot, that's the team you don't want to be facing. Or there might be one or two guys in the lineup that are really hot. Well, how do I manage this lineup and not let those guys beat me today? Right. Yeah. So there's, if you're a golfer, what do you do on the golf course? It's course management. Right. On the baseball field, for me, it was mound management. How do I manage who's on deck? Who's available to pinch hit? What part of the game are we in? What was the first pitch I threw this guy in his previous at bat? Or did he get a hit or did he get an out? How are we, not manipulating, but how are we working, working with the tools that we have, right? And again, an infielder boots a ball. Now there's a guy on first base. Well, I can still get a ground ball, get a double play, right? I can pick my teammate up, or I've given up 3 runs. Now my offense has to come back and pick me up, right? And that's where this team game, in my opinion, comes really in, and it's prevalent in how you play baseball. You know, it's, you know, today you can, I sometimes call it gladiator baseball, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's throw it as hard as you can and hit it as far as you can, right? And
Yes.
strikeouts don't matter. And again, that's what the game is being, you know, that's what the game's calling for, or that's what, you know, how people are playing the game, and that's how organizations are running their organizations. You know, again, who am I to condone that? I'm not here to condone that, but I'm just saying it's a comparison, right? And Evan, you touched on it. You know, maybe baseball is needing to go back a little bit and find that happy medium with both.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you could throw 100 on the black, yeah, that's great.
Well, and look, and we're starting to see more injuries, and I
Yeah,
think
that's
and that's the crux of all this. You know, you know, there's a lot of talented players, but guess what? If you're on the IL, nobody can watch you play.
yeah, it's bad for baseball that Strider's out. There's just no other way around it. So yeah. Well, if we could show that print one more time, get it. It retires this Sunday. Jamie Moyer, the ageless wonder, the guy who sent this teenager home many a times, cursing at the radio in Anaheim nights. Why couldn't we hit 85? What is going on? Autograph option, inscription option. This guy over 4,000 innings pitched, walks 1.6 batters per 9 innings at the top of his game, World Series champ. And man, this is a great, not just beautiful piece, but it's a reminder piece of whatever you're doing in life. There's going to be somebody in your field with perhaps more raw ability than you. And so you've got to outwork them, outthink them, get a bigger tool belt. That's what Jamie Moyer did as a career. And that's what Daniel so wonderfully encapsulated with this piece. Thank you guys for this conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jack DeLance, for connecting us. And thank you, Jamie, for your time. And it was an honor working with you.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
Jamie Moyer. Oh, man. Yes. I'm not kidding about, man, those drive homes just going like, this guy's throwing 85. What's wrong with our team? Why can't we hit him? But when you do that for like well over 15 years, your hitters weren't having an off night. The dude commanded the ball. That's what it was.
Totally. I totally, as a young kid, I totally missed that nuance. You know, it was just like you said, you know, chicks like the long ball and the radar gun. And that was the pitcher. Pitchers and hitters I gravitated towards. But then, like, as with age, you're totally right on. You know, like it's sexy. You know, being smart on the mound, and what you were saying really reminded me of this quote. I think it was from Sandy Koufax, the great Sandy Koufax. He's like, I'm not trying to make batters miss my pitches. I want them to hit it.
Yeah.
But to be in so much control that you will them to hit it where you want. You know, that's from Sandy Koufax. That's the same mindset that Jamie has.
Yeah, that's the pitch count issue now. The pitcher who strikes the guy out but takes 7 pitches to do it versus the pitcher who gets a ground ball to second on 2 pitches. We're seeing that is way more valuable to your team, because then that guy's able to go deeper, save the bullpen. And again, we fawn over the radar gun and the strikeouts. And there's, you know, Jamie Moyer just cruising along, shutting the team down.
Yep.
And that's why he extended his career so long too.
Totally.
Man, this would be a fun piece next. You mentioned Julio Franco earlier. This would be a fun little bookend piece to put these two together.
And they both have the term ageless wonder in it. Ageless wonder was a tagline in Julio Franco's, and that's the main nickname here for Jamie Moyer. Let me pop it up there one more time. For Jamie Moyer is the ageless wonder. So actually we went back and forth on that one a little bit. You know, should we call it Jamie Moyer? And then I had mentioned, how about the ageless wonder, and thought that was great. Worked as a great comic book name, you know, and gosh, I'm just going to point out how cool and how comic book the title of his memoir is. Just Tell Me I Can't, how Jamie Moyer defeated the radar gun and defeated time. I just love how over the top comic book language that is. And so with this piece, I was talking a little bit with Evan offline about this, but there's a message here. You know, we'll use Julio Franco as a A and B here. You know, Julio Franco, it's almost kind of like don't want to. There's humor in it, Julio Franco is battling dinosaurs because he's played that long. But here is sort of it's got the same source material, a player with great longevity, but then there's a message here. We heard from him. He got offered a coaching contract at 91.
He said
and
91.
And then to win a World Series like 16, 17 years later.
Insane.
Like, it's incredible, and there's so much inspiration. This piece like has really stuck with me a lot, being an artist that didn't really get into my own groove until my 40s. This has been sitting with me a lot, and the whole story has really inspired me, and there's just plenty to take from here. Lots of parallels, lots of inspirations that I've taken from this. So this was such a joy to do this piece right here.
Yeah, it makes me wonder too, like how many college kids were out there that at tryouts, they're not throwing that 98, but man, they can dot their pitches. Like how many did scouts just completely overlook because they took a very lazy approach to scouting?
Yeah, I'm curious just how much scouting is kind of leaning towards whatever's trending at that time,
Right.
To your point, how many do we miss out? How many Jamie Moyers did we miss?
Yeah,
because we were looking at what's trending.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like we were talking about the knuckleball earlier offline. That there is a guy in the Padres who's mixing one in, but we haven't had a knuckleball, like a straight knuckleballer in a while. And that's one of those, like, I don't think anyone 18, 19-year-old goes, I'm going to be a knuckleball pitcher in the MLB. And I'm going to really, it's like people go to it as a last resort to play somehow. Like Jamie Moyer said, you're going to rip this jersey off me. I'm going to fight you. And that's what I love about your print. It's Father Time is undefeated, as they say. But man, Jamie Moyer gave Father Time a run for his money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite a while.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Cool. Well, Daniel, anything else going on in the Pop Fly universe you want to share before we sign off?
So we had a collaboration with the Hall of Fame just wrap up a couple days ago. We've got some more collaborations with the Hall of Fame coming up, which is so surreal to even mention. And we've got we're going to be going to the Field of Dreams with baseball player Dale Murphy. Pop Fly is collaborating with Dale Murphy, the slugger. I think there might be one ticket left. I think I don't recall.
One ticket left.
One left. So if you want to meet us in August at the Field of Dreams, there's one left. So, but yeah, just lots of. We have a collaboration coming up again this coming Sunday with the player from our youth, Evan, that certainly you'll recognize his name. I'll tell you offline. Sorry, everybody. But
I don't know yet either. It's okay.
He doesn't know yet either. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And this piece, again, it stuck with me for a bit. And this piece is kind of what keeps it going, is this project being fun for me. And I like sort of like Jamie and his approach with baseball. It's like, am I the best artist in the world? No. Am I in the top 10? No. Am I in the top 1,000? No. But I love storytelling. I like telling stories about baseball players and themes from another angle. I like challenging what baseball art can be. So am I the greatest artist? No, but I'm going to lean into storytelling and maybe I'm not the best artist in the world, but there's no reason that someone else can't. I can't out-create somebody else or out-storytell somebody else. So that's really what I lean into, and I love opportunities like this that allow me to do that. And I love these conceptual pieces. It's fun to draw baseball players, yes, but it's even more fun to tell stories about them in doing so.
Absolutely. Those dual messages I'm picking up is everyone out there, you got to lean into who you are.
Yeah.
That Jamie Moyer would have failed if he just threw 87 with all that he had, instead of embracing who he was and his control. And Daniel, for you to try to be a different type of artist, that you would have failed. You succeed because you're being the only Daniel in the whole universe. So whatever you all do out there, if you're a teacher, lawyer, chef, be who you are. Lean into your own gifts. Don't compare yourself to other people, and you will find your success when you embrace who you are and do what you can do best. And that's what the stories that you're telling is so much bigger than baseball.
Awesome. Thank you. That was awesome words.
PopFlyPopShot.com. Get your Moyer print. Check out what's going on in the Hall of Fame. And apparently get that one ticket that's left to go have a catch with Del Murphy.
Yep.
See you, Pop Fly Universe.
See y'all.